I'm Pio Ontiveros. On the record tonight, the vice presidential vote recount that began on Monday. As the process unfolds, the camps of Vice President Leni Robredo and her closest rival for the post in 2016, Bongbong Marcos, are trading accusations. Our Ceci Lardizabal has that story.
The vice president's legal counsel presents documents which he says will debunk claims of election fraud in the 2016 polls by former vice presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos. Makalintal says Marcos is, quote, inventing his evidence to make it appear that there really was election fraud. Makalintal addressed three issues raised by Marcos. First is the missing audit logs inside the ballot boxes.
These audit logs are not really deposited inside the ballot boxes, but these audit logs report are given to the election officer for safekeeping.
Pag missing audit logs, di ibig sabihin meron ng tampering, meron ng manipulation, or compromise na yung integrity ng mismong ballot box.
Next is the question of the wet ballots.
In case of wet ballots, the ballots pertaining to that precinct will be counted on the basis of the ballot images. For every ballot cast or inserted inside the PICOS machine or the vote counting machines, there is a corresponding picture image, or what we call ballot images.
Di may gumalaw na nung ballot box. And considering na lahat sila nakadeposito sa Municipal Treasurer's Office of a particular municipality, bakit yung ilan lang ang basa, bakit yung iba tuyo?
Marcos also raised the matter on pre-shaded Robredo votes.
It is not only the name of Ms. Robredo which was shaded. Ang iba pang na-shade doon is sa president, sa senators, congressmen, and other positions.
Ang discoveries namin, pag binoboto yung Marcos, mag-isa lang, maganda pagka-shade, hindi lumalabas yung nakita naming kahon eh. Hindi na ibibilang sa pangalan niya, ibinibilang kay undervote.
Marcos's legal counsel, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, says PET rules supersede COMELEC rules during the recount, which means any COMELEC provision cannot be used during the recount. Robredo's camp has recently filed motions to clarify specific standards of the PET. It may take 2 months for the recount to finish. For Marcos, it's the so-called missing votes that he wants to locate. Robredo, on the other hand, is out to prove that there was nothing irregular in the last election and that she truly deserved to win. Ceci Lardizabal, CNN Philippines.
Our guests here in the set, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, legal counsel and spokesperson for former Senator Bongbong Marcos, and Gregorio Goyo Larrazabal, former COMELEC commissioner, will also speak to Attorney Romulo Makalintal to hear the side of the Vice President, Leni Robredo. He joins us live from Las Piñas City. Let's begin with Commissioner. Former Commissioner Larrazabal. Since sanay naman po kayo sa elections, di ba? Medyo, oo. Let's begin with that allegation about the audit logs that they were missing.
The audit logs are supposed to be, there are two audit logs actually, a soft copy and hard copy. The soft copy is deposited in the central office with their ERSD.
Central COMELEC office.
Yes, in Intramuros.
It's
stored there.
An SD card.
It's in the SD card. The file is in the SD card. Then the hard copy is given with the election officer.
When you say election officer, you mean the local election officer?
The local election officer in the city or municipality.
Okay, and it is placed in an envelope. It is in their office in that whatever municipality.
It's placed in a sealed envelope signed by the BI and
Board of Election Inspectors,
and given to the election officer.
Okay, and this audit log is an audit or a report of everything that happened in the.
Yeah, it's basically
a summary of all the votes. Right?
Yeah, it's like a black box. Anything and everything that happens in the precinct is recorded in the audit log. So that's why an audit log it's important. You should just don't brush it aside because it helps you trace the proceedings in the precinct.
Okay, so pag sinabing it's missing,
it's there.
Missing. It's there.
It's there, but I guess they have to. You can just you can request COMELEC for a copy.
Okay, so it's not an issue really. Ganun ba yun?
Well, I think there were some ballot boxes which had an audit log inside the ballot box. I want to know why
which should not have happened.
Which should not have happened. So,
okay.
I guess they should ask, no,
Yeah.
why is it there?
Oo.
And if they need a copy, they can simply write the COMELEC and bank, and the executive director actually issues an order to allow photocopying of the.
Okay, so this could have been like a mistake? Nagkakamali lang yung tao dahil for the longest time, before 2010, nung nag-automate ang elections, ang tao sanay sa manual
Yes.
na medyo iba.
Yeah,
Medyo iba rin.
There are some documents that were not in the manual elections that are in the automated elections that it helps audit the system, and that's why I guess the audit log is important because it helps give you a timeline of what happened during the precinct, during the proceedings in the precinct.
Okay. What about the issue of wet ballots? How does that
Okay.
impact on issues of, the credibility of the elections? Does it affect?
Ballots are not supposed to be wet. Ballots are not supposed to be wet. In
Yeah.
fact, the ballot boxes are supposed to be weatherproof. The custody of the ballot boxes are
With the local COMELEC?
No,
office?
no. It's
With the central
No. The custody of the ballot box is with the local treasurer, city or municipal treasurer, and it's incumbent on them to put it in a safe, clean, and dry
place.
area.
Yeah.
And I don't know why there was water that went inside the ballot boxes. It has happened, personal experience, that there's one ballot box which we had revised before, that the battery inside the ballot box fell and wet the ballot inside. But
The battery?
there's a backup battery inside the ballot box.
Okay. How will it wet the ballots?
It leaked. The battery leaked.
Okay.
But in this case, it's supposed to have gotten wet. The ballots inside got wet, so I don't know what caused that. And
Unless it wasn't, diba, it's open there, diba?
no, it's not.
At
It's
any
sealed.
point, it's always sealed.
It's always sealed. And in fact, there was a order issued by the PET for the different municipal or city treasurers to make sure that the ballot boxes are secure. Why it was wet, why the ballots inside was wet, has to be explained by that particular municipal treasurer.
Okay. So the only way that can happen is if there's a great big flood or if there's a tropical cyclone at nasa...
Even if it's flooding, the ballot box is kind of high, diba?
Yes.
So, unless of course there's a hole in the bottom or there's a defect in the ballot box, water's not supposed to seep in.
All right. So, and it would impact the credibility of the elections only if someone asks for a recount. In this case,
Well,
which is what is happening.
I think important here is the fact that it may impact in the claiming of ballots that were rejected by the machine, but you can claim ballots man because there's no digital images of those ballots. So I think that's the most important aspect we should look at on how it will affect the claiming of ballots in that precinct.
Okay. Attorney Rodriguez, would you like to respond now to what former Commissioner Larrazabal has said so far?
Yung sa audit logs, Ms. Pia, when Senator Marcos witnessed personally that there are 39 out of 40 clustered precincts with absent or missing audit logs last Monday, his basis was the PET guideline for revisors. And they're trying to invoke or cite COMELEC Resolution 157. Ang amin ho rito, yung COMELEC Resolution 10057 speaks of the general instructions to the BI in terms of the sealing and testing and sealing, and the transmission and the conduct of the election. But remember, tapos na ho tayo sa election. That particular COMELEC resolution was promulgated or passed last February 11, 2016. And then nung nag-file ho ng election protest, si Senator Marcos, ang nag-acquire na po ng jurisdiction ay ang PET o ang tribunal. Therefore, naputol na ho ng lahat ng koneksyon ng COMELEC resolution. Ang tanong ngayon, anong batas or procedure ang mag-a-apply? The 2010 rules of the PET as amended by the February 2018 guidelines for the PET revisors adopted by the PET. At nakalagay doon, wala lang akong dalang kopya, but they have to take a look at Rule 45. Ang nakalagay
Of the amended rules,
of the PET guideline for revisors. Under rules,
Amended, or yung original?
There, that one.
Okay, Rule
Tingnan mo
45.
yung Rule 45, ma'am.
Yeah,
Ang
we're looking at
nakalagay dyan, yung content of the revision report. And it made mention, I think, paragraph 11 and paragraph 16. Paragraph 11, binabanggit dyan, may audit log sa loob ng balota. Titingnan nyo rin ho yung Rule 57. Ang nakalagay naman doon, yung other items found inside the ballot box, binabanggit din ho doon na dapat nandoon yung audit logs. At finally, yung Rule 69, nandoon din po yun. Yung mga other contents of the ballot box, nakalagay din po rin yung audit logs. So, meaning, nag-acquire na ng jurisdiction ng PET. Kaninong rules ang mag-a-apply? Hindi na ho yung COMELEC resolution. The COMELEC resolution speaks of the general instruction for the BEIs for the conduct of the testing and sealing and the conduct of the automated election system and as well as the transmission. Pero nung natapos na yung botohan, nagsara na yung mga presinto, wala na pong meaning yung COMELEC resolution na yun. At nung nag-file ng protesta si Senator Marcos, PET acquires jurisdiction. Ano na hong rules? Yung 2010 rule ng PET as amended, specifically yung section 38 to 45 yata nung 2010, tinanggal na eh. Yan na ho yung applicable ngayon.
No, this is the 2010 eh.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, we'll get to all those details in just a bit, but we need to go to break. But before that, we need to hear from Attorney Romulo Macalintal, counsel for Vice President Leni Robredo. Attorney Macalintal?
Ay, magandang gabi sa inyo, no? Alam mo yung sinasabi ni Vic, natatawa na lang ako eh. Talaga hanggang ngayon gusto pa nilang magsinungaling na mali yung sinabi ni Mr. Marcos at mali yung sinasabi ni Vic, with due respect. Sinabi na nga yan ni Goyo, no? Yung audit logs talaga wala dyan. Huwag mo sasabihin ngayon, Vic, na mag-a-apply yung PET rules. Because itong audit logs na ito, nung ito ay i-deliver sa election officer, iyan ay under Resolution 10057 because that was the function of the Board of Election Inspectors. At that particular moment, the prevailing rules are rules of the COMELEC, the resolution of the COMELEC as to how this document would be delivered to the election officer. Huwag mo sasabihin ngayon na mag-a-apply ang PET rules because the PET rules applies only to revisors. Yung mga revisors, ha? So hindi po pwede sabihin mo ngayon na ay dapat yung mga rules ng revisors na mag-a-apply kasi nungalingan yan. Sana naman huwag tayong magsinungaling sa taong bayan. Alam mo, napakabigat itong ng kasong ito eh. Pero despite yung mga sinasabi ninyong massive fraud, hanggang ngayon wala pa kayong maipakita kahit isang ebidensya of the thousands of ballots already revised. Not a single evidence had been proven, not a single evidence had been shown by Mr. Marcos that there were manipulation of results of the election to favor the Vice President. All you said are invented evidence. Nag-iimbento kayo ng ebidensya. Una, inimbento nyo ang wet ballots. Walang problema. Ano ba ang wet ballots? Ito ang mga hitsura ng ballot boxes pag dinadala yan. Ganyan. Yan ang ginagawa sa revision committee. Ano, yan ang picture ng revision committee. Kung makikita ninyo. Yan ang wet ballots. Yan ang wet ballots. Nangyayari talaga yan sa mga election cases natin. Marami kami hinahawakang kaso ngayon sa COMELEC, yung sa ARM, ang dami-dami nilang mga wet ballots. Yung wet ballots na nakitang yan, that was observed also by your representatives. Yung representative ninyo, they signed the retrieval report. They signed, ito yung representative ninyo, si Mr. Donato, itong representative namin, si Ms. Bueno, they both signed the documents that they were damaged ballot boxes. There was a certification. Ito sinasabi ngayon ni Goyo. Ano ba ang nangyari? Nagkaroon ng ulan, typhoon ninya, nabasa ang balota. Ito ang report ng treasurer. May kopya kayo nito. Ang sabi ng treasurer, the ballot box was damaged and documents were soaked with water during Typhoon Niña. So,
Attorney Macalintal, I'm very sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we need to take a very short break. When we come back, we're going to continue what you're saying, sir. Okay?
Yes, okay.
We'll take a very short break. You're watching On the Record. Be right back. Stay with us. This is On the Record on CNN Philippines. We're talking about the recount for the votes for the vice presidential race of the May 2016 elections. This recount of votes being questioned by former Senator Bongbong Marcos versus Vice President Leni Robredo. Still with us, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, legal counsel, spokesperson, former Senator Marcos, Goyo Larrazabal, former Comelec Commissioner, also Attorney Romulo Macalintao, who's joined us live so we can hear the side of the Vice President. He's still with us right now. Attorney Mac, please continue what you were saying just before we went to break.
Yung sinasabi ko kanina, ano ba ang wet ballots? Problema ba yan? Hindi ho problema yan. This is the beauty of an automated election system. Pag nawala ang balota, meron tayong ballot images. Ito ang example ng ballot images. Yan. Makikita mo dyan yung picture kung sinong ibinoto ng mga botante. At the back of the ballot image, we have the summary of the votes. In this particular case, who was voted for the Vice President? It was Trillanes who was voted for the Vice President. The vote is clearly indicated with a square. And how do we know that it was counted for Trillanes? At the back of the ballot, there's a summary of the vote. So hindi ho problema yung wet ballots. Kahit po ang dami-dami naming hinahawakang election cases, pero ang wet ballots hindi nagiging problema yan. Unlike in manual election, pag nawala na po yung mga balota, dyan po ang malaking problema. Pero dito wala hong problema yan. Iniimbento ngayon ni Mr. Marcos, ito daw ay mga evidence of fraud. Hindi po. These were merely observations of Mr. Marcos. Siguro hindi niya dapat itong sabihin ebidensya. Ito po ay observation niya, nakita niya noong mga nagkakaroon ng revision proceedings. So sana ho naman huwag nating ililigaw ang taong bayan.
Okay.
Pangit
Yeah,
po yan
Attorney Macalintao, thank
Kasi
you.
hindi
I'm
ho
going to
dapat na
get,
magiging bahagi yan ng ebidensya.
Yes, I'm going to get Attorney Vic Rodriguez to respond to what you're saying very specifically about that nang iimbento lang daw kayo ng ebidensya in a bit. I just wanted to go first to Goyo Larrazabal to explain, to do a, hindi naman rebuttal, no? Meron kayong explanation doon sa sinasabi ni Attorney Mac.
Kasi there are two rules being referred to here: the general instructions of Comelec and the rules of
PET.
the PET. No, it looks like there's a disconnect. Kasi on the part of the BI, they should follow the rules of Comelec. That's the general instructions.
Right.
At the time they submitted the audit logs to the Comelec election officer, there's no protest case yet filed, no, regarding this one, so wala. However, if the requirement of the PET was to make sure that the audit logs should have been inside the ballot boxes, then there
is that disconnect.
There should have been a order from the Comelec or to the PET to
na to, yung tribunal, yung rules nila, binasa naman siguro nila yung rules ng BI.
Kasi in 2010, what we did is when...
Eh di sabihin natin sa PET na...
Okay, sa 2010, I spearheaded that automated election. So the general instructions we made, we talked with the PET, SET, and HSET on how to have a uniform set of rules. No? But in this case, it appears that there is a disconnect. The right thing that should have been done was the Comelec should have informed the election officers by issuing an order telling them to put back or to secure the audit logs. Or if not, when these ballot boxes were retrieved, they should have also submitted
the audit
logs to the retrieval teams. It was not done. So that's how I see there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, because the tribunal probably presumed na nandun nga sa loob ng ballot box yung mga audit log.
Just briefly, Ms. Pia and Attorney Goyo.
Pia lang.
Merong resolution in issue ang PET ordering the Comelec to turn over all the election-related documents sa PET. Kaya nga yung observation na nakita doon ni Senator Marcos, dalawa lang naman ang tanong as mandated by Rule 45 nung amended rules Ang nakalagay doon, dapat yung datos ng audit logs nandoon. Rule 45 ho yan. Rule 57 nakalagay doon, yung HR, yung head revisor, will make a determination whether there is the presence or absence of the audit logs. Yun yung nakita ni Senator Marcos. Tinanong niya yung mga head revisors, ano bang, meron ba tayong audit logs? Ang sagot, wala. So nakalagay doon sa Rule 57, the HR is mandated by the PET, by the rules of the PET to determine whether there exists or there is an absence of the audit logs. But anyway,
Yeah, but since there's that disconnect na nga sa rule, so
It appears that there was the order from the PET to COMELEC might not have been adequately relayed to the field officers that they should also submit the audit log.
there is no
wouldn't-
other document apart from the audit log that is not in the ballot box, right?
Me, I don't know, but there's a lot of documents that's still with the election officer. So I don't know what's missing. Based on what I read on news reports, it's just
so,
audit logs.
so it's not as if things are really missing. It's just that they are, because of the rules, kailangan kumbaga, kailangan correct me if I'm wrong, parang kailangan sabihin lang ng PET na, excuse me, Mr. Election Officer, pakibigay na nga sa amin yung mga audit log dahil wala dito sa loob ng...
But it's not as easy as that because basically elections and a resolution of election contest is also perception. So people have to be very careful in following the procedures. They have to go the extra step, extra mile to be sure that whatever is ordered to be submitted has to be submitted. In this case, apparently there was an omission. But
Omission.
that can be remedied naman.
Yeah. Okay,
That can be
omission, ano yan, sinadya or nagkamali or dahil hindi klaro?
I don't know. That's up to the election officer to explain. What I would suggest is the PET orders the election officer, orders COMELEC, to explain why this document or documents were not submitted.
Okay.
Then that's it.
Paano kung
is co-
sabihin ng COMELEC na, dun sa rules namin, dun sa
No, no, no.
BI,
Because the order was for COMELEC to submit all the election-related documents,
yeah,
right?
by virtue of the PET resolution dated sometime last year pa yan eh.
So
Yeah, okay.
they should have been aware that this is an important document. It should have been
Okay.
submitted. So there's two things now. First, the audit log should not have been in the ballot box. That's clear. Second, the audit log should have been submitted to the PET. So
Okay.
I think there was a disconnect there that the protestant might have misunderstood that the audit logs should have been in the ballot boxes, but
Let
it
me
means
just correct that. Hindi
Yeah,
hindi misunderstood. Klaro kasi sa rules eh. And then klaro din ho sa amin na the moment na natapos na yung eleksyon, tapos na yung COMELEC resolution na ini-invoke nila. Dahil yung directed sa BI, nag-file na ng election protest, klaro din
Yeah.
naman
So why
yun.
don't you just ask...
The
So why don't you
Article
ask
8
the
of Section
PET?
4.
Yeah, so why don't you ask the PET, the head advisors na, why don't you...
They've
Okay.
entered it in the minutes.
I'll just explain something.
You know,
It's
si
the-
Attorney Makalintal daw wants
No,
to
no, no.
talk.
But sandali, I just have to explain
Sandali
something
lang daw,
that
sabi ni Goyo.
the problem there is that if you don't have the audit logs inside the ballot box and you want to put it inside, you can now question the integrity of the ballot box because you
Okay.
open it, diba? When you
Okay.
open it, there has to be witnesses, etc. It might create, for me, it will create
All right,
complications.
we are literally in the last 2 minutes and I need to go to Attorney Makalintal right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, in other words, hindi ebidensya ng pandaraya. There's no evidence of irregularity if the audit logs are missing or not placed inside the ballot box. So maliwanag po ito, no? Hindi ho yan sign of irregularity. It is not an evidence to prove that the votes were manipulated. Sana ito magiging maliwanag. And I'm glad na Goyo explained it very clearly. So, hindi mo pwedeng buksan kagad yung ballot boxes without authority from the COMELEC. Even the PET cannot just open that without requesting the Commission on Elections. Because once the documents are placed inside the ballot box, nobody can open that without authority from the Commission on Elections. So it's very clear now na napakadali mo kumuha nung audit logs. Ano bang audit logs? Ito ang mga audit logs. So, ganyan po. About mga 40 pages po ang audit logs. It shows the activities undertaken by the vote counting machines. So, hindi ho problema ito. And this is not an evidence of fraud kahit mawala po yan. The
Okay,
best evidence of fraud is ilang balota ba ang nawawala o may balota bang nababawas kay Marcos.
Yes, we are literally on our
Yun ang
last
ebidensya.
1 minute or 45 seconds. But Attorney Vic has to respond to what Attorney Mac was saying just a while ago na nangiimbento lang daw kayo ng ebidensya.
Hindi ho namin gawain mag-imbento ng ebidensya. In fact, kanina ho, yun nangyari ngayong hapon. Doon sa clustered precinct number 45 ng Municipality of Bato, ang
Camarines Sur.
Camarines Sur. Ang nakita po doon ay sa valid votes cast ay 348 votes. Subalit ang ang binilang po yung balota na may boto at ang nabilang na boto ay 376. Sobra po ng 28. Yung po ay nakita rin ng mga staff ninyo kanina. And in addition, meron din
And
pong
sa
kagana...
presintong yan, sino yung panalo?
Si Lenny Robredo hulat ng
Okay.
sobra, ng 28 votes.
Okay.
And then finally, kaninong
Again,
kaganapan sa
kasi-
HRET, yung
Again,
protesta po
kasinungalingan.
ni Villafuerte versus
Again, kasinungalingan
Bordado
po.
kanina ho,
Malaking
doon sa HRET.
kasinungalingan
First
yan.
day ng revision ho nila kanina.
Okay.
Binuksan yung isang balota from Camarines Sur, I forgot the municipality. Ang nakita po nila doon
Bakit?
sa loob ng balota, bukod sa basa yung balota, may mga basura at may mga pinutol at lumang at tuyong dahon or damo.
Okay.
Bakit po importante sa amin yun? Parte po yun ng aming election
Alright.
protest.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I need to cut everybody off. We are over time unless the producer tells me right now that we can go over time. We need to say goodbye. Sorry po sa lahat.
Well, maraming salamat,
and I
salamat,
also need
salamat
to
sa
say
inyo.
thank you to Attorney Makalintal. Mag-part 2 na lang tayo,
Yeah.
okay? Attorney Romy Mac,
Yes,
salamat
okay,
po.
no problem.
Attorney Vic
No problem.
Rodriguez,
Salamat,
salamat.
Vic.
And
Salamat, Goyo.
former
Goyo.
Commissioner
Thank you,
Goyo
thank you.
Larrazabal, thank you very much for being here. That is on the record. Thank you for your time. I'm Pio Ontiveros.